What if I told you that one of the wealthiest investors in history believed that after 50, most of your investment strategy should be focused not on getting rich, but on avoiding becoming poor? Has this ever happened to you? Watching younger investors boast about their latest crypto windfall or tech stock triumph, while you wonder if you're being too conservative with your hard-earned savings. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from. Today, it's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the globe, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Today, we're diving into the investment wisdom of Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man and the brilliant mind who helped build Berkshire Hathaway into an investment powerhouse. Munger, who lived to be nearly 100 years old, had particularly pointed advice for investors over 50, and it might completely change how you think about your financial future. I could have been twice as rich if I hadn't made one dumb mistake 50 years ago, Munger once admitted. That's not me being dramatic, it's just arithmetic. Compounding works both ways, on your gains and on your stupidity. Stay with me until the end, because what Munger revealed about investing after 50 contradicts much of what you'll hear from conventional financial advisors. While everyone else is telling you to catch up on retirement by taking bigger risks, Munger suggested exactly the opposite. By the time you reach your 5th decade, Munger insisted that your career trajectory is largely set, your family situation established, and your ability to recover from financial catastrophes severely diminished. In your 20s, 30s, and even 40s, you could afford to take risks because time was on your side. A market crash? You had decades to recover. A business venture that failed? You could start over. But after 50, the clock becomes your enemy, not your friend. What you're about to discover might surprise you, but the fastest path to financial freedom after 50 isn't about finding the next Tesla or hitting the jackpot in some exotic investment. It's about playing defense, not offense. At 50, survival is the real game, Munger insisted. The harsh reality he emphasized is that losing half your money at 60 is nothing like losing it at 30. When you're young, you have 3 decades to recover. At 60, you might not even live another 30 years. The mathematics becomes unforgiving. This shift, from trying to be clever to trying not to be stupid, forms the foundation of Munger's philosophy for second half of life investing. And while it might sound pessimistic at first, there's something profoundly liberating about his approach, because once you understand that avoiding catastrophe is more important than chasing brilliance, you realize that your financial transformation doesn't require complex strategies or risky bets. Join our community of rational investors by subscribing to the channel. I share timeless wealth principles that can transform your financial journey after 50. Debt is poison, Munger would often say, with characteristic bluntness. This becomes especially true after 50, when you simply don't have enough decades left to recover from leveraged mistakes. The hard-earned wisdom Munger acquired during the Great Depression shaped his mindset forever. Debt magnifies both success and failure, and after 50, you can't afford the downside. Many investors in their later years make the critical mistake of trying to compete with younger traders, those 20-somethings with 6 screens and algorithms running day and night. Munger would shake his head at this folly. Your advantage isn't in speed or technological prowess, it's in patience and judgment. The more complicated an investment deal becomes, the more likely you're being taken advantage of. Munger's philosophy crystallizes in one of his most profound revelations. All I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there. This seemingly morbid statement actually unveils a powerful strategy. Identify what could destroy you financially, and then simply avoid it. Now, I want to go even deeper into what might be Munger's most counterintuitive advice. Embrace boring investments. This runs against everything the financial media bombards us with daily. We're constantly told about the next big thing, the disruptive technology that will change everything, the stock that could multiply your money overnight. Yet Munger insisted on a different path, especially after 50. Boring works, boring compounds, boring lets you sleep at night, he would say. The journey to financial security in your later years isn't about excitement, it's about consistency and peace of mind. Those dividend-paying stocks that have been increasing their payouts for decades. Those blue-chip companies with rock-solid balance sheets. They might not make for thrilling dinner party conversation, but they form the bedrock of lasting wealth. There's a hidden truth here that few financial advisors will tell you. The financial world doesn't reward excitement, it punishes it. The less thrilling your investment portfolio looks after 50, the more likely you are to enjoy what Munger would call a thrilling retirement. The impact of this insight cannot be overstated. What does this look like in practice? It means owning businesses that sell products people keep buying in good times and bad. Chocolate, soda, insurance, toothpaste, electricity, products and services with enduring demand, companies with pricing power and steady cash flows. Nothing flashy, nothing revolutionary, just reliable businesses that generate consistent returns. Remember Munger's ultimate goal for investors over 50, don't aim to get rich quick, aim not to die poor. This mental shift from accumulation to preservation represents one of the most important decisions you'll make in your financial life. Behind the scenes of Berkshire Hathaway's spectacular success was this very principle. While others chased dot-com stocks in the late 90s, Munger and Buffett stuck with boring companies like See's Candies, Coca-Cola, and insurance businesses. They looked foolish until the bubble burst, and then they looked like geniuses. If any of these principles are hitting home for you today, write in the comments. Boring is beautiful, and let me know which of these ideas resonates most with your situation. But there's another danger lurking beneath the surface of investment decisions that Munger warned about with particular fervor. One that has destroyed more wealth than market crashes or economic recessions. That danger is envy. Envy has ruined more portfolios than recessions ever did, Munger observed. What makes this emotional trap so insidious is that it's the only deadly sin that provides absolutely no pleasure. Greed, you get to enjoy spending. Gluttony, you get to eat. Lust, you get some pleasure at least. But envy, you just sit there stewing in resentment while the other guy is off enjoying his yacht. This insight reveals a profound truth about the psychological journey of investing. When your neighbor buys a fancy car, suddenly your stable, compounding investment looks like a mistake. When your brother-in-law brags about a 10-bagger stock, you begin questioning your entire strategy. The mindset shift that follows often leads to catastrophic decisions. For investors over 50, Munger insisted that envy is not just unpleasant, it's lethal. Why? Because you simply don't have the time to rebuild from jealousy-driven mistakes. One envious move can erase decades of patient investing. The revelation here isn't just financial, it's deeply personal. The game isn't about beating others, it's about not losing yourself. Munger shared a cautionary tale about a man who invested reasonably. Well, steady returns, decent savings, until his golf buddies got rich in oil stocks. Unable to stand being the small timer, he leveraged up, chased the same trades, and when oil collapsed, so did his retirement plans. His buddies lost money too, but they still had their careers ahead of them. He had only retirement to worry about. The best investors I've known, Munger reflected, had almost zero concern for what others were doing. This leads us to one of Munger's most profound confessions about his own investment journey. I don't like talking about my mistakes, he admitted, but they're more useful to you than my successes. Decades ago, Munger bought into a company that looked good on paper. He made a quick profit and sold. The problem? If he had held on, that single position could have doubled his entire net worth. That's not hyperbole, it's math, he emphasized. The mistake wasn't the investment, it was lacking the discipline to stick with a truly great business. This brings us to a fundamental principle for investors in their second half century. When you find a truly exceptional business, sit on your assets and hold it. Don't get clever. Don't develop itchy fingers. The world constantly tempts you to act. Elections, wars, inflation, recessions, but most of that is just noise. Your job is not to outguess every headline, Munger advised. It's to avoid selling the goose that lays golden eggs. This patience becomes even more crucial after 50, when one wrong exit, one badly timed move can permanently shrink your nest egg. The transformation from active trader to patient owner represents one of the most difficult but rewarding journeys in investing. As Munger put it, it's not brilliance that makes you rich, it's endurance. If you've ever sold an investment too soon only to watch it soar afterward, type diamond hands in the comments. I'm curious how many of us share this common investment regret. This endurance Munger spoke of isn't just about holding investments. It's also about intellectual honesty. One of his most counterintuitive pieces of wisdom centered on what might seem like weakness to many, the courage to say, "I don't know." The world is too complex for you to know everything, Munger would emphasize time and again. You don't get rich by being a know-it-all. You get rich by knowing what you don't know and avoiding it. This revelation runs counter to the image we often have of successful investors as omniscient market wizards with opinions on every sector, trend, and global development. When Warren Buffett and Munger built Berkshire Hathaway, they passed on thousands of investment opportunities. Not because these opportunities were necessarily bad, but because they didn't understand them well enough. We understood insurance, we understood Coca-Cola, we understood See's candies, so we bought them, Munger explained. We didn't understand airlines or dot-com stocks, so we left them alone. If you value financial wisdom over market hype, hit subscribe now. This channel is dedicated to investors seeking true independence rather than fleeting excitement. The breakthrough insight here is that overconfidence kills more investors than recessions. It's not the market that ruins you. It's your illusion of knowing more than you do. After 50, this flaw becomes especially dangerous because the margin for error is much thinner. Munger once watched a successful lawyer decide he was an expert on currencies after reading a few articles. One wrong bet wiped out most of his retirement savings. The humility to admit, "I don't know," creates a natural boundary around your investments, keeping you within what Munger and Buffett famously called your circle of competence. This mental framework represents one of the most powerful yet underappreciated tools for preserving wealth in your later years. Now, I want to go even deeper into what might be Munger's most transformative perspective, the distinction between thinking like an employee versus thinking like an owner. One of the biggest divides I've seen in life, Munger observed, is between people who think like employees and people who think like owners. This divide has nothing to do with job titles or paychecks. It's about mindset. Most people, even very intelligent ones, spend their lives playing career games. They optimize for promotions, titles, and perks. They spend years currying favor with bosses they don't respect. They polish resumes instead of building wealth. Munger called this careerism, and he considered it a trap. The awakening comes when you realize that titles don't compound. Ownership does. When Buffett and Munger built Berkshire, they didn't care about looking important. They cared about owning things that made money while they slept. Meanwhile, Munger watched brilliant lawyers, bankers, and executives waste decades climbing ladders. They earned high incomes, but owned nothing that worked for them, he noted. The minute they stopped showing up, the money stopped too. This isn't wealth, it's just a high-class treadmill. The journey from employee thinking to owner thinking represents perhaps the most crucial mental shift for anyone over 50 who wants true financial freedom. If this ownership mindset resonates with you, type owner, not employee, in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're making this shift in your own financial journey. This ownership mindset leads us to what might be Munger's most practical question. For investors over 50, do you own anything that makes money while you sleep? This seemingly simple inquiry gets to the heart of financial independence. When Buffett and Munger built Berkshire Hathaway, they didn't just look for good deals. They sought businesses that didn't require their daily presence. We wanted businesses that didn't depend on our presence every day, Munger explained. That way, even if we were golfing or dead, the assets kept compounding. This perspective becomes increasingly vital after 50, when the reality of finite energy begins to dawn. The journey from active income to passive income isn't just about comfort, it's about survival. Eventually, your capacity for high-energy work diminishes. Health issues may arise. The ability to trade time for money becomes less reliable. The awakening comes when you realize that without assets working independently of your daily efforts, retirement becomes precarious. If you're over 50 and still living paycheck to paycheck, no matter how high that paycheck, Munger warned, you've probably been thinking like a careerist too long. The transformation doesn't require quitting your job tomorrow. It means redirecting energy and capital into assets that outlast you. Dividend-paying stocks, rental properties, business interests, royalties. These quieter investments rarely receive applause at the moment of purchase. Nobody celebrates when you buy shares of a stable utility company or add to your dividend portfolio. But these decisions can lead to the profound relief of receiving income, regardless of whether you showed up for work that day. Ownership fades. Careerism compounds, Munger observed. Pick the one that will still matter when you're 70. Now, I want to go even deeper into what might be Munger's most disarmingly simple formula for financial success. A truth so basic that most sophisticated investors overlook it entirely. When asked to reduce his success to core principles, Munger didn't cite complex investment theories or market timing strategies. Instead, he offered this: I avoided debt, I avoided drama, and I avoided dumb people. The hidden wisdom in this statement reveals a fundamental truth about wealth preservation. Debt magnifies both success and failure, and after 50, you simply can't afford the downside. It destroys discipline, it magnifies stupidity, Munger cautioned, and it guarantees that when bad times come, and they always come, you're the first to get wiped out. Drama, whether in personal relationships, business partnerships, or investment approach, wastes precious energy that could be directed toward clear thinking and rational decision-making. The impact of this energy drain compounds over time, pulling focus from what truly matters. Perhaps most crucial is Munger's definition of dumb people. He wasn't referring to intelligence in the conventional sense, but rather to those who are reckless, dishonest, unreliable, or addicted to shortcuts. Such individuals are radioactive, Munger warned. Their stupidity spreads. Hang around them long enough and you'll get caught in the fallout. For investors over 50, this principle isn't optional. You literally can't afford the time required to untangle from bad decisions influenced by the wrong people. If you've experienced the wisdom of avoiding any of these three dangers, debt, drama, or difficult people in your own financial journey, comment "D wisdom" below. This idea of avoiding problematic influences connects perfectly to one of Munger's most overlooked insights: the profound impact of partnerships on your financial destiny. People love to romanticize Munger's 50-year collaboration with Warren Buffett, imagining two geniuses playing chess with billions of dollars, always in perfect harmony. The reality was far more instructive. What actually worked wasn't magic, Munger revealed. It was discipline, temperament, and compatibility. Their partnership thrived not because they never disagreed, but because they shared fundamental principles: complete trust, aligned thinking about money, and complementary skills. "We trusted each other completely," Munger explained. "No backstabbing, no politics, no jealousy. This foundation of trust created extraordinary efficiency. While most organizations waste half their energy on internal conflicts, Buffett and Munger channeled their full capacity toward investment decisions. The revelation here goes beyond business. Partnerships to every relationship that influences your financial journey. After 50, the quality of your financial partnerships, whether with a spouse, advisor, business associate, or friend, can either accelerate your progress or derail it entirely. The critical question Munger would have you ask: does this person make me more rational or less? Do they bring stability or drama? One particularly valuable dimension of their partnership was how their skills complemented each other. Warren was a genius at spotting undervalued businesses, Munger noted. "I was better at reminding him not to get seduced by cigar butts, those mediocre companies you buy cheap and sell for a small profit." Together, they elevated their strategy, focusing on quality businesses they could hold for decades. This alliance of complementary strengths creates a powerful shield against the inevitable blind spots we all develop. The right partnership amplifies discernment at exactly the moment when, after 50, you can least afford mistakes. Now, I want to go even deeper into what might be the most underappreciated secret behind Berkshire Hathaway's remarkable durability: knowing the limits of their knowledge. "Our biggest strength," Munger confessed, "was knowing the limits of our knowledge." While most investors feel compelled to have opinions on everything from cryptocurrencies to emerging markets to interest rate trends, Berkshire Hathaway built their fortune largely by saying no to opportunities they didn't fully understand. This disciplined self-awareness, what they famously called their circle of competence, protected them from countless disasters that ensnared supposedly more sophisticated investors. It wasn't that Munger and Buffett weren't intelligent enough to analyze complex situations. Rather, they recognized that intelligence without genuine understanding is a dangerous combination. "Most investors don't have that," Munger observed. "They want to be experts on everything. We didn't. We stuck to our circle of competence. If it was outside, we just said no." The wisdom here is particularly vital after 50, when the stakes are higher and the time to recover from mistakes is shorter. The breakthrough comes when you realize that knowing what you don't know is far more valuable than pretending to know everything. This intellectual humility, far from being a weakness, becomes your greatest defense against financial catastrophe. If this idea of carefully defining your circle of competence resonates with your investment approach, type "I know what I know" in the comments. I'm curious how many of us embrace this powerful form of self-awareness. This circle of competence leads directly to what might be Munger's most counterintuitive insight for investors in their second half-century. Getting rich after 50 is less about making brilliant moves and more about avoiding fatal ones. This profound shift in perspective, from offense to defense, represents a complete reversal of conventional investment wisdom. Most financial advice focuses on what to buy, which sectors to target, how to maximize returns. Munger flips this paradigm completely. "You don't need to double your money overnight," he insisted. "You just need to not blow yourself up." This revelation brings both challenge and relief. The game simplifies dramatically when your primary goal is survival rather than spectacle. Munger illustrated this with two contrasting stories. A doctor who, at 55, began channeling savings into high-quality dividend stocks, ignoring market noise, reinvesting dividends, living below his means. By 70, though not spectacularly wealthy, he enjoyed true financial freedom. Compare that to an entrepreneur who, feeling behind at 52, leveraged himself into speculative real estate deals. When the market turned, he was bankrupt, by 57. The difference wasn't brains, Munger observed. It was discipline. This insight cuts through the illusion that financial success in later years requires extraordinary talent or secret knowledge. The truth is far more accessible. At 50, you don't need brilliance to win. You just need to stop doing stupid things. This mindset transformation simplifies your decision-making framework enormously. Instead of chasing the next big thing, crypto scams, day trading fads, exotic real estate schemes, you build a protective barrier around your assets, screening out anything that could compromise your financial security. Now, I want to go even deeper into the practical rules Munger developed to implement this survival strategy. While seemingly simple, these principles represent the distillation of nearly a century of investment wisdom. First, keep investments simple. If you can't explain it to your spouse in 1 minute, Munger advised, you probably shouldn't own it. This clarity test eliminates most complex financial products and obscure investment vehicles that often hide excessive fees or unfavorable terms. True understanding becomes your first line of defense. Second, preserve capital religiously. Every dollar you lose at 60 is far more expensive than every dollar you lose at 30, Munger emphasized. This isn't just about the nominal value. It's about the compound growth that dollar could have generated over your remaining years. A $10,000 loss at 60 isn't just $10,000, it's the $20,000 that money could have become by age 75. Third, avoid envy at all costs. As we discussed earlier, comparing your results to others leads to precisely the kind of catastrophic mistakes you can't afford in your later years. The financial journey becomes infinitely easier when you focus solely on your own goals rather than measuring yourself against others' apparent success. Finally, embrace the miracle of modest compounding. A steady 7% compounded over 15 years is a miracle at 50, Munger observed. This simple math illuminates the power of patience. At that rate, your money doubles, then nearly doubles again before typical retirement age. The revelation here is that spectacular returns aren't necessary. Consistency is the true wealth builder. If these preservation principles strike you as the missing piece in your financial strategy, comment "Defense wins championships" below. I'm curious how many of us are embracing this defensive mindset after 50. All these defensive strategies bring us to what might be Munger's most brutally honest financial truth. One so fundamental that most sophisticated investors overlook it entirely. If you're not spending less than you earn, Munger declared with characteristic bluntness, nobody can help you. Not me, not Warren, not the smartest financial advisor on the planet. This statement cuts through decades of complex financial advice to reveal the bedrock principle beneath all successful wealth building. The mindset shift required here is profound, but simple. The laws of arithmetic don't care about your feelings, your lifestyle aspirations, or your social status. If more money flows out than flows in, the outcome is mathematically certain. You go broke. I've watched people with six-figure incomes live like paupers in old age because they couldn't resist spending everything they made, Munger observed. And I've watched modest earners die comfortable because they lived simply and invested consistently. The revelation here isn't about intelligence or opportunity, it's about behavior. Overspending creates a dangerous illusion. It feels like freedom in the moment, but it steadily constructs a prison of financial dependence around you. After 50, this pattern becomes particularly destructive as the timeline for recovery shortens dramatically. Each unnecessary purchase doesn't just represent its sticker price. It represents the compounded growth that money could have generated over the coming decades. When people asked Munger about the best investment for their age, his response was refreshingly direct. Stop buying crap you don't need. This advice alone, he believed would solve half the financial misery in the world. The transformation that occurs when you embrace this principle isn't just financial, it's psychological. Freedom from the constant pressure to consume creates mental space for genuine priorities. Now, I want to go even deeper into what Munger saw as the ultimate purpose of wealth building after 50. Behind all the investment strategies and financial principles lies a more fundamental question. What are you actually trying to achieve? At over 50, Munger insisted, the goal isn't glamour. It isn't chasing the biggest return. It's dignity. It's independence. This shift in perspective, from maximizing returns to securing autonomy, changes everything about how you approach money. True financial freedom in your later years means knowing you won't have to beg your kids for money or work until you drop dead. The journey toward this independence doesn't come from clever trades or sophisticated investment strategies. It comes from something far less exciting but infinitely more effective: restraint. Munger's formula for late-life financial peace combines remarkable simplicity with undeniable power. If you cut out debt, avoid drama, ignore dumb people, and live below your means, you've already beaten 90% of humanity at the money game. Do that for long enough, and compounding will handle the rest. The hidden truth here is that the world doesn't reward brilliance nearly as much as it rewards avoiding stupidity. Financial catastrophes rarely result from missing the next big investment opportunity. They come from the steady erosion of resources through undisciplined spending, emotional decisions, and misplaced priorities. If Munger's straightforward wisdom about spending less than you earn has finally clicked for you, type "arithmetic doesn't lie" in the comments. I'd love to know how many of us are embracing this fundamental principle. So as we reflect on Munger's wisdom, we're left with a profound paradox. The path to financial freedom after 50 isn't about financial gymnastics or investment heroics. It's about simple arithmetic, rational decisions, and the courage to be boringly consistent while everyone else chases excitement. When you're 70, Munger asked, do you want to be envying your neighbor's toys or enjoying your own freedom? This question captures the essence of his philosophy, the choice between temporary pleasure and lasting independence. I've shared these insights because they've transformed not just my own approach to investing, but those of thousands of others who've discovered the power of Munger's unconventional wisdom. If you found value in these principles today, I'd appreciate you hitting that like button. It helps others discover this perspective that runs counter to most of what we hear in financial media. If you've made it all the way through this exploration of Munger's wisdom and something resonated with you, leave a comment saying "wisdom over excitement," so I know which parts of his philosophy are most valuable to you. For those who want to continue this journey of financial independence, I create videos each week that break down time-tested principles like these into actionable strategies. Consider subscribing to join our community of rational investors who value independence over impression. There's a video right here about Warren Buffett's complementary approach to wealth preservation that pairs perfectly with these Munger principles. Click and continue with me over there as we explore how these two investment legends created a framework for lasting financial freedom that anyone can follow.